Hey guys, it's Gladys. Thanks for watching my last video on Backflow. This week, we're going deeper. I'm going to show you why the valves and berms we're installing today are great for the next 10 years, maybe even 30, but they aren't a forever fix. I've spent the last 14 years of my career looking at the gold standards for water. Singapore, the Netherlands, Uruguay, so let's engineer something. First up, Singapore. They use massive underground reservoirs. Applying this to Florida, well, our water table sits just 2 to 6 feet below our feet. If you drop a Singapore-style empty tank into our porous limestones, you aren't building a reservoir, you're building a boat. Is that why boat shows are so popular out here? Next, we have the Netherlands. They are king of pumps. They have massive backflow hubs in regional canals called buoyants that act like waiting rooms for rain. But their real secret? Redundancy. If the electric power dies, they have diesel backups. If that fails, they probably get grandma on a bike to generate some power. Finally, there's Uruguay. They use dune restoration to stop the surge. But let's be real as engineers. In a category 3 or 2 hurricane, a sand dune is just a temporary suggestion. The ocean doesn't even need to go over the dune. It just goes under it through our porous ground. Side note, I almost failed this course during my master's program, but I passed. I looked at building a backflow hub here, which is like a giant pump station. But the more I engineered it, the more I hated it. If I pump the water out of our HOA, I'm just pushing it onto our neighbors or into the intercoastal where it stacks up and floods our super wealthy neighbors on the east side. And they will sue because they got money. Speaking of wealth, every wealthy city does this. We're just pushing the problems onto countries like IAT that don't have a water-starved budget. The real design deficiency isn't our valves. It's the idea that we can win against the ocean by drowning someone else. I was watching American Dad the other night, or every night, and Stan Smith vacuum sealed his house during a hurricane. It floated away because he didn't anchor it. It's a hilarious fail, but the core idea, it's been done for real in England. On the banks of the River Thames, they built amphibious houses. These aren't just houseboats. They are heavy luxury homes built inside a dock with vertical mooring posts. So when the river floods, the house doesn't fight the water. It slides up the post like an elevator. It can rise nearly 9 feet. Once the tide goes out, it settles back into its foundation. No pumps, no fortresses, no pushing water onto our neighbors. Now I know what you're thinking. Gladys, my Florida house is solid concrete. Can we really lift that? Absolutely. I don't know who you are, but absolutely. Concrete is actually better because it's so rigid. We can engineer a hole underneath that's large enough to displace the weight. It's the same physics that keeps a concrete barge afloat. We can actually retrofit existing homes, but here's the real hurdle, the cost. FEMA paid out billions after Katrina for reconstruction that just flooded again after 10 years. We need to break that cycle. If you're a grant writer with experience in FEMA Hazard Mitigation or federal resilience funds, contact me. Let's get the funding to move these floating fixes to Florida. If we spend billions to rebuild the past, we could definitely spend it to secure the future. Ooh, that was good. I'm Gladys Sera with Sera Engineered. Like, comment, subscribe. And let's keep engineering the real world. See you next time. Bye.